A peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, and so are you. And so is this wonderful brother that I am about to introduce. Let me tell you something. You're going to have so much fun. What an exciting career. What an exciting life this brother has had. I've known him for almost 20 years. He's a trumpeter. He is an educator. He's a clinician. He's an incredible performer. Most of all, he's an all around great guy. This is H. Wade Johnson. My friend, what's happening, man?
Greetings and salutations to you, my great brother, Jerry B. We go down like four flat tires, my brother. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Man, I'm so grateful you could come on. You have done our Artist Impact for a number of episodes now, man, and you were sharing some things with me. And as long as we've known each other, you've shared some things with me that I didn't know. And I'm like, dude, I've never done an interview with H. Wade. We've just been rolling, like you said, like four flat tires, and I've never understood these things about H. So I got a bunch of questions to ask you, man. So I greatly value your time today. Number one, first and foremost, thank you for the many, many years that you accompanied Sound Doctor in my band when we came to Maryland, man. And I think it goes back to like 2006, that summer. The incredible keyboardist Trendle Thomas was playing keyboards with us at the time and noticed that on this one hit, we didn't have a saxophone player. He said, I know exactly who to call. You didn't know anything about our music. You didn't know anything. I mean, never heard of a Sound Doctrine song, but came in, bam, put the trumpet to the lips, and it was over. So I got a lot of questions.
Man, look here, man. Fire away. First and foremost, thank you, man, for the relationship that we've formed through the years, man. And we brothers. We brothers from every week. Brothers forever, my brother. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely. And I'll say one more thing too, and we'll make it our own conversation, but we'll invite the viewers, those who are listening in. But you introduced me to the incredible Eric Tyus on guitar too, man.
Another brother from another mother, man. We were together since 1982, Eric and myself, man. So we still playing.
Well, the world is yet to know who he is. He did take Sound Doctrine into the top 10 on Billboard Contemporary Jazz with his cover of Stop On By. Yeah. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did that. And I've got some tracks that are going to be leaving the vault and hitting the street for 2024 featuring Eric Tyus. So the world will one day know who this brother is right here. Excellent.
Absolutely, man. Showing up for real, my brother.
Absolutely. Yes, but here's the thing. I didn't know, and I just found out last night, with the amazing trumpeter that you are, that you were not into music at all in your formative years, that you were actually somewhat of a Johnny-come-lately in your career. Please explain that story, because I found that to be what?
Look, man, it's just something about being endowed with a gift from above, from the master, man. God is great, worthy to be praised. Man, I was a senior in high school, football player, and I wasn't bad. I was a decent football player. So what happened? I got injured during the season in my senior year playing football. So, man, with that being said, the torn lateral meniscus, I couldn't play anymore, surgery, da-da-da-da-da. So I was still wanted to go to the games, man, and hang out. So I said, you know what? I don't want to pay to go in. So I noticed, man, the marching band at my high school, trust me, country, McClellanville, South Carolina, 1A school. My whole graduating class wasn't but 65 people, man. I was blessed to be in the top. I was blessed to be in the top 15. I was number 11 in my class. But anywho, no experience with music or whatnot. So I saw the band, man, going into the game, marching in. They dancing, man, and they having a ball playing the music in the stands, and they were eating for free. I didn't know anything about band boosters, concessions, band boosters, raising the money for the band. So I went up to the band director and I asked him, I said, Mr. Thomas, bless his soul. I said, man, can I get in your band program? Now, this is late. He said, son, we don't need any more musicians, but He was a trombone player. He said, I got a trombone. I'm gonna give you if you want to learn to play that, okay. I didn't want to play no trombone, man. All of that right there too long. But so my cousin, who grew up in the same house that I did, had a trumpet, a king trumpet, and he suffered with asthma, so he wouldn't play the thing. So I found myself going upstairs. I grabbed it, started, trying to mess with it and make sounds and stuff. So I took it to Mr. Thomas, my band director, and I said, "Here, I got a trumpet. Can you teach me?" Man, this brother looked at me, and man, he was a scary guy because he was a strict disciplinarian, just like the coaches. So he looked at me, he said, "Son, I'm gonna take the time out to teach you how to play this trumpet." He said, "But you got to be real serious about it." I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna be real serious." Never knew that I had the gift of music in my soul, bro. And when he started teaching me, from the beginning stuff, we had 4 books. We had First Division band book, a red, a blue, a purple, no, red, blue, yellow, and purple, 4 divisions. I went through that book, man, and I took it so seriously. I went back home. My grandmother raised me. I tried to play that horn in the house. She'd run me outside. She said, "Boy, if you don't get that noise out of it." I learned to play my horn in a cornfield, bro.
Is that right?
One
Wow.
book, trying to learn finger the notes and learn the rhythms and whatnot. So it hit, and it hit. So my band director saw it in me, man. And what he did, he was a master musician, phenomenal arranger. And he went to South Carolina State College at the time. And so he decided to take us. And the funny thing was, he drove that you remember the little Pontiac cars
Oh yeah.
that could hold about 4 or 5 people? He stacked 8 of us. He stacked 8 of us in his car, took us to South Carolina State. We saw the band called the infamous Marching 101 Marching Band. Bruh, Jerry, never saw anything like it in my life live. I saw Grambling on TV. I saw Florida A&M TV, and I was like, it's okay. But because I wanted to be a running back for the Washington Redskins. Why? Because I was born in Washington, D.C., but I was raised in McClellanville, South Carolina. John Reagan, that was the Regal's Ranger. So I wanted to be a running back, man. And I'm going to tell you some more about that story after I finish. He took us there, and we saw that band. So when we got back to McClellanville, he said, "Guys, I'm going to prepare you for the audition." Wow. Scales, sight reading, a prepared piece. And to this day, it's the same audition process that we do at the colleges and university where we work, all the HBCUs. Passed the audition, my brother. Woo! But I got to South Carolina State and didn't know that there was a process called making the band. If you guys saw Drumline, people who saw Drumline, then you can look at the Drumline movie and understand what I'm saying. But we all as musicians, horn players, all had to go through the worst thing. Drumline was easy. The Drumline movie was easy. We had to pledge the band, and all freshmen went through a process called crabbing.
Crabbing.
We were too young, but we went through the process, man. I made the band, but I didn't know that my trumpeting skills were pretty good. They were pretty good. I didn't know because I'm country boy, know nothing about music. And South Carolina State had 24 trumpets, bro, my freshman year. So I would sit to the end and go down to the end like a freshman always does. But one day my section leader came to the band room. I was practicing in one of the rehearsal rooms, and I was by myself. So he looked in, and I was, going through the Orban book, which I still have over here. This is the Trumpet Player's Bible.
Uh-huh.
This is the Trumpet Player's Bible, and I still practice out of this thing often. So he heard me, and then he opened the door. He said, "Crab, that's you?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." So he said, "Here's what I want you to do. When you come to practice today, I want you to sit by me." And nobody, I didn't know that all the trumpet players were in this, what we call screaming. That means playing high notes all the time and whatnot. And he said, "Every time I point to you, I want you to take everything up an octave in rehearsal." Freshman, dumb freshman. So we were playing different music, man, and he point to me, and I'm going, yeah, take everything up an octave, right? We did it about he did it about 4 times. And the director of bands, Professor Ronald Sargent, who was also one of my biggest musical mentors, along with Dr. Al from South Carolina State, he stopped the band and he looked in the trumpet section and he said, "Who was that? Who did that?" And of course, the dumb freshman, Gary, Gary, he put me out of the band rehearsal, man. He
Oh man.
said, "You are dismissed. You may leave." But the lesson it taught me as a professional musician, play what's on the page. but what it did, it made me one of the more outgoing trumpeters because man, I was shy, believe it or not. And now you probably say,
No. Wait a
I
minute.
was a shy
Wait.
guy my freshman year. And
No.
what happened was they put me on this pedestal. So every time, and when the trumpet section plays what we call riffs at the football games, man, when the trumpet section is featured, I'm the guy. Yeah, screamer. I'm the screamer. H. Wade Johns. So from that became this. I was most outstanding freshman. I became section leader my sophomore year. I became freshman orientator. But the whole thing through my collegiate career was being the first musician to be selected to the Jazz Band Hall of Fame at South Carolina State College, man. That was the biggest thing. And from there, my career went this way. And I didn't want to teach at first
I
because
see.
check this out. I was an English major my freshman year, my first semester freshman year, because I had a crush on my English teacher in high school. So I majored in English, but the problem was we spoke what we call Geechee Gullah Geechee. So our dialect was a crossover between French and African. Now, I didn't always speak like this, Jerry, believe you me. So we had to record ourselves for the English class, and I played the tape back. I said, that ain't me, but it was. So after that particular point, I changed my major to music education because I played something that covers my mouth so I didn't have to talk too much. But man, it's a blessing. From that point on, it's a blessing. I've been a teacher. I've taught all grades, man. I've taught from kindergarten through college. I've been a collegiate band director since 1990, man, at a lot of HBCUs. It's a blessing. And I still, with the Washington Redskins thing, I still made the Washington Redskins play because what it is, Washington Redskins had the first marching band in the NFL.
Oh wow.
Remember, I was living in the Delaware, Maryland area. I became the brass coordinator for the Washington Redskins marching band. So I made the Redskins, man. It's
That
innocent
is
and ironic how
amazing.
our lives are planned, how our lives, how God put these things in our lives, the things that we want to do and the things that He has for us to do. But my calling, man, is music, brother. Absolutely, fabulously music. Yes, sir.
That is absolutely on point, man. These things, like I said before, many times that we've played and been on stage and whatnot, and even talked, doing the breaks or doing sound check or whatnot. I didn't know. I thought, man, the way you play trumpet, I thought you, picked it up at 4 years old. I really mean that.
No, I wish, man. Look here, man. I wish, and the blessed thing was Wynton Marsalis himself, who's now one of the greatest trumpet players in the world. He told me I can play, man. So I'm like, if Wynton says it, that's a great thing. And on another note with Wynton, man, our jazz ensemble here at Benedict College, we won the Wynton Marsalis Lincoln Center Jazz Festival, jazz competition last year.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
Wynton himself was one of the judges too, and he came out after we played. He said, my brother, y'all swinging, man. And man, that took me to another level. And I was like, it's great to know that we are reaching our kids, man. Because when I'm done with this, they're gonna have to keep that ship rolling, man. They're gonna have to keep it going. And Yeah, man, we're scheduled to do a couple of more festivals this season, and I think we're gonna be okay.
That
Yeah,
is absolutely beautiful. Now, the one thing that people won't know, and I will put a few links to your YouTube videos here in the
yeah.
description because you are an incredible showman as well as an ace trumpeter. Where did you get your showmanship from? Because I've seen you night after night after night after night take an audience and bring them right into your hands. Where did that come from? I mean, other than God's grace upon you, but
Yeah.
how did you develop that
Three,
magnetism?
three people: Dizzy Gillespie, Fred Wesley, James Brown. Actually, I learned the technique of the double horn playing from Frank Motley, who was one of Dizzy Gillespie's trumpeters. And Dizzy Gillespie is from South Carolina, Cheraw,
Uh
South
huh.
Carolina, which is far from here. I got to hang out with him. I got to play with Diz in the early '80s, and man, hey, let me tell you something, man. Dizzy Gillespie was the number one trumpet player for about 15 years running before Miles Davis took the number one spot. So he taught me so much, and I watched him entertain with everybody know who James Brown is, the energy level. And I have to blame Fred Wesley for teaching me the business aspect of music and giving me the opportunity to travel with him around the world. Fred Wesley's and the new JBs. I'm a member, guys. I'm still a member. I'm still a member, but my teaching only gets me to play with them every now and then. So, and I have my own bands. I have a couple of bands here around the Carolinas and whatnot. But those three guys, man, instilled that bug in me that made me an entertainer. And let me tell you something, man. It's my therapy. They say, who counsels the counselor? Being a professor of music and a band director here at Benedict College, I get to interact with the kids, do this, that, and the other, my regular job thing. But when I'm on that stage with Pride Ensemble, all the other bands that I sit in or I play with, it's a horse of a different color. They call me the front man
Mm-hmm. That's true.
because
And then you
when I
should.
come out, man, anything can happen. But the audience, we hold the audience's attention, and I love it because you never know what's going on in that audience, what kind of day somebody may have had. Because remember this, thank you, Robert Bell, cool in the game, Ronald Bell. Music is a message that brings universal love to one and all. I'll say it again. Music is a message that brings universal love to one and all. A whole note here is a whole note in Serbia, a whole note in China, a whole note in Germany. The backbeats that you do on your drums is the same no matter where we go in the world. And that universal language bridges the gap and bring us all together, man. It's a wonderful thing.
No, that's absolutely right. Well, here's another thing. I think I had heard this before with respect to your exposure to James Brown, Fred Wesley. How did you get the Fred Wesley gig? Were you in South Carolina at the time? And then we got to go back and hit this because I
Yeah.
think you kind of
Yeah.
just touched on it, but we're talking about an American icon, so we just can't skip by
Yes.
him. But Fred Wesley first, how did you get the gig to get into the new JBs?
People don't realize that Fred Wesley lived in Manning, South Carolina for years. I was in Orangeburg, which is about 40 minutes from Manning. So what I did as the jazz ensemble director at South Carolina State, I was over the jazz program. I brought Fred Wesley in and made him part of our Jazz Ensemble Hall of Fame. So in 2001, Fred called me, and he always says H. Wade Johnson. He says he said I need a trumpet player to go on tour with me, man. And he gave me that. Back then I didn't have a passport, so I was like, you want me, Fred? You want me to tour with you? He said, man, your trumpet playing is awesome. And of course, I said yes. Um, matter of fact, I was blessed to get my passport through a fraternity brother of mine, Omega Psi Phi, and I can say this, and he is the one and only brother Clyburn. Look him up. I'm not going to tell you his first name because he's actually the majority whip in the United States. He's third. He's the third guy to be the president of the United States. We're fraternity brothers. He was from Sumter. He's from Sumter, South Carolina, and his brother, Chili Clyburn, was the manager of the band that I was in called Newborn Joy. The picture's up there behind me. Man, this world is smaller than we think. So that being said, Brother Clyburn expedited my passport. I went with Fred Wesley. We toured from 2001. And guess what? Fred is still touring. Fred is still touring and still sounding great. So he calls me in the United States more than I travel abroad with him because he respects the fact that I'm a music educator.
Right.
Fred Wesley, man. Ooh.
Tell me some of the players in the band during the era that you were traveling heavily with him.
Fred, man, those guys are still playing with Fred. His drummer, Bruce Cox. His piano, and see, Bruce speaks 7 languages. That's why Bruce held on to that gig all these years. You have Peter Manson on keys. You have Dwayne on bass. Matter of fact, his daughter went to UNC Charlotte. We moved her in about 6-7 years ago. Then you got Reggie Ward on guitar, and if Reggie's not available, is one of my former students, Joel Johnson, on guitar. And then we all sing, we all do the thing. The saxophone player, God bless his soul, it was Maceo first, and then it was Pee Wee Ellis. Pee Wee passed a few years ago, and then now it was Philip Wack, the saxophone player. But man, you let me tell you, we play some music. We play some music at packed house all across the world, man. It's an amazing. So Fred is one of my musical mentors and one of my musical brothers, man. Yeah. But Fred referred me to tour with Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't take the gig because I just signed a contract with Delaware State University as their director of bands. So I turned Lenny Kravitz down. But it's another story about that, what happened in my life when I did that. So, the blessings and everything. But, having to play with these phenomenal musicians, man, it's just a blessing, man, in itself.
That's amazing. Now, I'm going to probably accurately assume that you shared the stage with Maceo many, many nights, right?
Well, yeah.
Right.
I got a story to tell you what happened to me. Maceo was always the guy who would lead the stage and go perform in the audiences. So Maceo wasn't on a gig that I did with Fred, and Pee Wee. So yours truly decided to walk off the stage playing my double horns at one of the gigs, man. So when I got back on the stage at the end of the gig, Fred Wesley looked at me. He said, "Hey, man, don't do that." He said, "Don't do that no more." He said, "That's Maceo's thing. That's Maceo's thing." And Maceo has a phenomenal brother who was a drummer. Yeah. But so I did that, and I never did it anymore. Playing with Fred, I stayed my butt right on the stage and did what I had to do, man.
Was there any contact personally with James Brown? I know that they had left James's band at the time, but you were able to.
Yes. I played with Mr. Brown in the mid 80s after my experiences with Brother Dizzy Gillespie. So not only that, then James Brown had another band called the Soul Generals. So he had 2 bands. He had the regular James Brown band, then he had the Soul Generals. So we were both. I was both with that band, and we actually did. We used to do the NAMM shows in California. Yeah, and so many musicians go through Mr. Brown's band because he fired you at the drop of a hat, man. Yeah. And see that hit me. That's the docking system. If he turned around and pointed and say hit me, whoever he pointed to that particular night got docked some pay, man. James Brown he had an ear. He wasn't a trained musician, but he had an ear that was absolutely incredible. And he was a fine musician, keyboards and drums. Mr. Brown. And to this day, we still call him Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown. I got some stories we'll talk about offline with Mr. James Brown, brother.
Well, give me one that you can share online. My first one would be, how many times did H Wade get docked? Was H Wade in line or?
Now, I would say in all of my play with him, maybe once, no, twice. I can tell you twice, and the not docked, but he gave some money after one of the gigs. Japan, Tokyo, Japan. Um, his name is the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger.
Oh,
Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones opened for us.
mm.
Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. They opened for us. So Mr. Brown prancing all in the thing. He's not going to outdo us. He's not going. Nobody's not going to play. Nobody's not going to play us. So after they got off the stage, and it was in a pool, an Olympic-sized pool. The stage rised out of the pool. So we did our set. Mr. Brown, we always close with Sex Machine. Get up. So on the reprise of Sex Machine, Mr. Brown would run to the edge of the pool, man. He'd run to the edge of the pool and he'd stop. He'd take off a piece of clothing. Then he'd come back and we'll go, we ended with, and then we go back into it and he'd run back to the edge of the pool and he took off something else, man. True story. About four moves in, Mr. Brown jumped in the pool.
Oh,
Maceo jumped in the pool. Pee Wee jumped in the pool. Jabbo jumped in the pool. H. Wade then jumped in the pool. Boy, I couldn't swim. So after that, man, I rocked the house, turned the place out. So back in the dressing room, Mr. Brown, he said, man, yeah, celebrating and all that good stuff. So he gave each of the members that jumped in that pool an extra $1,000 that night. Brother Brown, he dealt in cash. You didn't give James Brown no checks, man.
mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
yeah. But he gave those guys $1,000, and he paid well. And I'll never forget that story, man, because Mr. Brown was special.
Yeah,
Special.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
Mr.
absolutely excellent. Well, we have to go back in and get to your first gig with Dizzy Gillespie. How was that whole thing set up? Not only did he live in South Carolina or was right down the street primarily, but what was that introduction like? What was that?
This matter of fact, I had a 1974 Ford LTD, green ugly car, and I had the being a trumpet player, the college he came to do perform a concert first at South Carolina State. And so I picked him up from the bus station. We didn't have an airport in Columbia at the time. And so I drove him around everywhere he needed to go. I drove him around. I drove him to Chirac from his hotel. I was his guy. I got a picture too. But anyway, I'll send those pictures to you. And so I hung out with him. And for the first time in my life, I did a no-no. His horn was on the bed in the hotel. He went to the bathroom. When he came back, H. Wade Johnson was holding his horn. And man, Dizzy cussed me out, man, real bad. But it taught me a lesson. Don't mess with nobody's horn unless you ask. But anyway, Diz taught me how to improvise around the circle of fifths. He taught me circle of fourths, the chromaticisms runs that he does. And I always dedicate a song to Dizzy Gillespie. Because he was one of my musical mentors right here from South Carolina. And I remembered before he passed, I spoke with his wife the morning before he passed, man. She said he was going to be okay, but how he died with the cancer, you don't recover from that. But playing a few things with him. He was a showman, and Diz was a clown. Diz got kicked out of Cab Calloway's band, man, for clowning. and I was so impressed with Diz. My second master's in jazz ed, my concert was I became Dizzy Gillespie. So I did the work of Dizzy Gillespie for my master's, my second master's degree in music education at Benedict College, man. And I became this. And Fred played with me on the game. Fred Wesley played with me on that, on my what do you call it, recital, on my recital, man. So his world is absolutely music. I live it, man. It's what I live, breathe, and think.
Absolutely. Now, with respect to all of the experiences that we've talked about, the Dizzy, the James Brown, the Fred Wesley, the meeting Wynton Marsalis and your band doing so incredibly well at the concert. Now, what lessons have you encapsulated and that you share first and foremost with your students? When you got a new team of students coming in, freshmen, now you're that guy that the young student runs up to. What do you share with them, and what do you try to impart that when you bring them from freshman to senior year, that you've hoped that you've dropped into their spirit that they've learned?
Exactly. The first thing is never give up, never quit. You may come in thinking that you are this, that, and the other, but you practice what you preach. Sure, you're right. Barry White said you practice what you preach. And I always say, I make a standard. If everybody in the band was just like me, then what kind of band would this band be? Do not come to rehearsal not practicing. Two different things. Practice and rehearsal are and it's on my wall. Practice is what you do on your own time, getting ready for rehearsal. When you come to rehearsal, all we doing is cleaning everything up. So I let my guys know, man. I let my guys know, man. You said you want to be one. So we don't rehearse until we get it right. We practice until we don't get it wrong, brother. We cannot get it wrong. H. Wade Johnson. But I'm starting from scratch. It's like an airplane. It's like a process. Freshman year, you may be here. Sophomore year, the wheels may come up. Junior years, you're in the low stratosphere. Senior year, you flying high. Thank you, Commodores. But with that being said, yeah, and the students, what we do is we lead by example. We demonstrate. My entire staff, we demonstrate, and I've been blessed. What Dizzy told me to do is he said, man, let me help you here. Learn how to try to master at least two instruments. Yeah. Um, as quiet as it's kept. I play a little clarinet, saxophone, tenor sax too, bro. But true story, I was a drummer before I got into that doggone trumpet, man. I played drums a little bit because they had like DJs in McClellanville. We play the little beats with the little DJs and stuff. So it's crazy, and with the trumpet, where the trumpet has taken me, because drums, Jerry, it's too much stuff, man. And I gotta thank my lovely wife Miyoko. Shout out, baby, Miyoko. She saw me play drums, man, recently, and she came up to me on the third service. She says, "You're not doing that anymore." She said, "That's too much work. That's too many things to do at one time." But she didn't know. She didn't know that I played drums, and she was surprised. But even with that, master, master, or try to master two instruments, because you never know when you're going to need to be on a gig on either one.
Amazing, amazing. What was Dizzy's? I think his second instrument was piano.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Eddie was a heck of a percussionist along with Channel Pozo. Yeah, and see that Cuban thing happened when he went to Cuba. Diz discovered oh gosh, Arturo Sandoval. Arturo Sandoval came to America through Dizzy Gillespie. He was Dizzy's taxi driver when Dizzy went to Cuba, but he didn't tell Dizzy played trumpet until Diz went to the jazz club, and Arturo came out playing his trumpet. And so Diz said, "Hey man, you got to come to America," because Arturo wanted to be a professional baseball player. His movie is For Love of Country. Arturo Sandoval's story. Yeah, which is another trumpet player. And Arturo's primary instrument was piano. A man on trumpet. See everybody. Okay, I don't have to. What Arturo does.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I
And I
imitate. Yeah.
I've just
I
had the
imitate.
opportunity to interview Robbie Amin, the drummer,
Yeah,
who spent many
yeah,
years, yeah,
yeah.
many years with
Cool,
Dizzy.
cool.
So,
Jerry, see you in the know, my brother. You in the loop, man. We appreciate you, brother. You are that guy. You are that guy, and not just music, man. There are, you wear some hats. You wear some hats, man. So we gonna keep doing what we're doing, man. And I thank you so much.
well, I thank you, man. That's why we call it the entree musician. You have to be entrepreneurial, and just don't rest on your laurels. If this is not working, what did you say in the last time we talked? I know quote Mr. Bell from Cool and the Gang all the time, but also Maurice White said, "What if it ain't no beauty? You got to make some beauty." Yeah,
Got to
mercy.
make some beauty. Hey, man.
Yeah, so
That's
that's
the
what we
secret.
try to do.
Be ever wonderful, my brother. Be ever wonderful.
Absolutely. Stay as you
Yeah,
are. Here's the thing. I just have one more question for you, though,
yeah.
because here's something I don't know. I don't know how many original recordings H. Wade has. So tell me that, and then tell me what's next for you, because I know you have to have some original music that's in the works. I know you
Absolutely.
do.
I got about 40. Got about 40 original tunes. In reality, I've only recorded about 3 or 4 of them, along with Eric and my bass player Tyrone Mack. But we're going to this spring. I'm gonna record another CD. So get ready because I'm gonna need your help on that, my great brother. And it's it's some interesting stuff. It's a side of H. Wade that a lot of people are going to be surprised to know because see, my energy is off the Richter scale, but some of my originals are nice, sweet, solemn stuff, man. That harmon muted trumpet does something to me. Thanks, Miles Davis. Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
only
but I
have
got
one CD of yours, and so I
yes.
thought maybe I need to dig into your
Which one?
discography a little deeper. You got me on a brain freeze. It has the blue background. You with the trumpet, blue background, yellow font on the letters.
Is that live at Sabang
That's it.
Jazz?
Bing.
Live at
That's it.
Yeah. And then I got a couple other things out. I did a tribute to Miles Davis, but it's a live video concert tribute to Miles. And there's a gospel one. I got to send it to you called Trumpeter for Christ. I'll send it to you. Yeah, I got your address. I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll send all of them to you. I got about four CDs out now. Man, I can't keep up with that stuff.
See, and that's why I knew I had the one, but I thought as far back as you go in music, there has to be others. So I need to have my H Wade collection on my shelf. You know what I
Cool
mean?
beans. Consider it done, my great brother.
And finally, with respect to having a album that's coming out this coming spring, how do people get in touch with you? Are you accessible? I know they go to your website, but do
Yes.
you receive email or use social
Yes.
media? How do people get in touch with H Wade?
My email is hwadej, the letter J, at yahoo.com. Guys, call me. I've had the same number for almost 50 years. 803 290 8181. Easy number to remember. 803 290 8181.
That's
Yeah,
absolutely
call
excellent.
me. Of course, you get. Yeah, I see you have my website up there, hwadejohnson.com. So, man, I love you. Appreciate you. You are my guy, man, forever, forever and a day.
Four
Yeah,
flat
Jerry.
tires, man. Yo,
And I got your book too. I got
there
your
you
book.
go.
I am studying it. Some wonderful stuff. Hey, get the book, guys. Get the book.
That's
Get
right. Give it
get
to
the
all your
book.
students. You got to, order it
You
and
know
get it
what?
for all your students. You know what I mean?
You know what? Let's talk about that.
Sure.
No, for all the majors, we have a strong music industry department, and they
Excellent.
need that book. They need.
Excellent.
We got about 32, between 32 and 50 majors in there. Send me the invoice. No, I'm dead serious. Send me the invoice.
Absolutely. I will do that.
We'll make it a part of our curriculum
Yes,
in the
sir.
music
Yes,
industry
sir.
program, if
It's
that's okay with
amazing.
you.
No, it's beautiful, man. As a matter of fact, we had a couple people who have managed the careers of others. They had I'm trying to think of the sister's name. She ordered several books from me because of all of the artists that she manages, and she said, "Yeah, this is required reading." I'm really, 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 really very grateful. It's just,
Yes, sir.
why I did this. This is your interview, but I'm gonna just say the reason why I wrote this book was not for anyone else but me. I wanted to know if I believed it because, as you know, I was stepping away from my day job, and it's like,
Yes, sir.
when you're gonna cut your income like that, and your wife is gonna have to pay the bills for a couple months, you better believe this stuff. You
You
know
better
what I mean?
believe.
You better
No,
believe it. So
no,
that's how the book was formed. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our friendship. I know it'll continue on into eternity, man. So
yes, sir.
blessings to you, Mr. Wade.
Peace and blessings, my good brother. Love you, man. Love you more. Love you more.
Thank you. Love you back, brother. And you know that what I said at the beginning was absolutely right. I knew you were going to enjoy this interview. I'm taking it for granted that you do because H. Wade is a bunch of electricity just wrapped in one person. Love him so much. Get into contact with him. Go to his website, hwadejohnson.com, and get some more history. If you're a trumpet player, get in deeper. He will talk to you, that's for sure. We are entree musicians. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, but you know what's most important? So are you. We will see you next time. Many blessings.